Hello, my name's Aaron Cummins. I'm the Chief Executive at the University Hospitals of Morecambe Bay. And I'm just going to spend a few minutes today just giving you a brief update on the situation currently here with regards to COVID-19 and some of the messages you might have heard on the media over the last few days, a bit of an outline of what we think is coming next. It was actually about 5 weeks ago since I did the last piece like this. And a lot of the messages I was given at that point was the good work that our communities and our colleagues had done in preparation for what we thought was going to be the demand for our services over that period. And actually just reflecting back on that, I don't think many of us were anticipating the kind of demand that would be with us over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. And I just want to recognise that whilst it feels reasonably quiet at the moment and some of the messages are about returning back to some form of normality, 156 members of our communities have lost their lives to this disease after testing positive for COVID-19. And I just want to reiterate the message as we think about the future. One is to remember those members of our community, and we'll do all we can as an organisation to support those families and their friends. And we'll also plan to do something around remembrance at a time that's appropriate. But now more than ever, it's really important for us to recognise our responsibilities to keep this disease at bay, to adhere to social distancing, to remember to wash your hands, and to do all we can to make sure that we're protecting ourselves and each other from the disease, because it's still with us. So how have we done over the last 4 or 5 weeks? I'd said previously that the amount of work that our communities and our neighbourhoods have done to support each other and themselves in some self-care and looking after the communities was phenomenal, and we've seen that continue over this period. And we've seen huge amounts of work done by colleagues in the Bay, not only in the hospitals but also from general practice, primary care, our community teams and mental health teams, but also partners in the police and the armed forces and our local authorities, who've done things like established our recovery centres in Barrow and Kendal for some additional beds if we need them, for establishing things like testing centres, one of which you can see behind me today, and also to put in place plans for making sure we can start to see the most vulnerable members of our community, particularly with our community teams and our integrated care community structures, to make sure that we're looking after the most vulnerable families of members of our community at the same time. So it's a huge thank you again from me for all the efforts that not only our colleagues have put in, but you as our neighbourhoods and our communities have done to support us through this period. I think it's important to recognise, though, that even though some of the messages are coming nationally now about a return to some form of normality or whatever post the pandemic normality looks like, we've still got an awful lot of work to do. So my ask is to bear with us and to keep in touch to make sure that we're helping you as much as we can, and that you recognise that your health and care services are open for business. We have some concerns that members of our community or patients haven't been in touch with us recently, and we'll be doing some work over the coming weeks to bring back what I would call non-COVID related activity and to treat those patients that need treating over this next phase. So you'll see some different messages come from us over the next couple of weeks, and you'll have plenty of opportunity through some of the normal channels that we use to engage with us as your hospitals and with your local care providers as we look to try and bring back some of that activity over the coming weeks and months. So my final thoughts then are just again reiterating that thank you, to ask us to keep committed to doing all we can to prevent the impact of this disease, to make sure that we're adhering to social distancing, that we're washing our hands, and that we continue to reach out and to support each other as we move through this next phase. Thank you.